Resist the urge for your chef's special bite. Do not cut into this meat. Got our lovely ribeye here, bone in. I'm gonna use from our friends at SRF, which is just a great farm in Idaho. They've got great cattle, they make great products, and I love their steak seasoning. So just some simple light salt and pepper, and then I'll come in heavy-handed with the SRF steak seasoning. I make this probably too much. Should probably not make it as much as we do, but we love it. I make it for my wife and my kids, my daughters. I have 3 daughters, and they don't really eat a lot of protein, and so they both love the steak recipe. So we like to do this special steak maybe every other week around the holidays. My girls love to eat the steak in particular. It can bring a lot of stress into your household if you have people coming over and you want to make a steak, because when people eat steaks, they just expect a great restaurant style, perfectly cooked steak, and that's really hard to do at home if you don't know what you're doing. So when I make this for years and years and years, I would stress so much about making it, about getting the temperature inside right, having it not be too rare and not overdone. But this reverse sear method, I think, takes all that off the table, and you can pretty much guaranteed make a perfect steak every time. When people come over for dinner, now that I know how to cook it properly and I don't worry about screwing it up, I love to make it for people. All right, so we've basically finished. I mean, we cooked it off, and then we seared it off. That's the reverse sear. You do it sort of at the end. And now all we're gonna do is, the most important part of the whole thing is let it rest. I mean, if you cut it right now, you'd almost ruin the whole thing. You have to let it sit. It'll test your patience, but just at least 8 minutes. So now the steak has rested for 10 minutes. When we started it was about 130 internal temp. And that 10 minutes, it continued to cook inside. So now it's about 135, which is, we're gonna serve it medium rare. And we're gonna cut it off the bone. So we're literally just gonna find the backbone here, and we're just gonna kind of run our knife down the spine of the bone. And we're gonna cut it off. And then we're just gonna take that off, and we're gonna remove this outer collar. There's a little kind of fat line in there that you can just follow. And then this is basically your ribeye right there. So we'll cut, these are good chef special pieces right here. I actually serve my steak on this cutting board. So as I'm slicing, I'm already thinking of presentation. So these will be just some bites. And then we'll look for the grain in the meat. You always hear cut against the grain. If you can find the grain and cut against it, that makes for just a better chew. I learned how to make this from really just doing it a lot and getting it wrong so many times, constantly Googling, you know, how do you cook steak? What's the temperature, internal, all the things, and watching the Food Network a million times. I love Adam Perry Lang, who's one of our best meat men in this country, great chef and friend. And so I will text, you know, APL, how do you do this? He's the master. And they're really just through love. You gotta be in a good mood to cook good food, and this makes me happy. And good quality meat is important too. I mean, quality ingredients is everything, and no shortcuts. Every little detail matters. Grab a little olive oil. Just come in here and drizzle that. And then the very last thing we're gonna do is just finish up with just a little bit of finishing salt, like a flaky salt. And that's really it. I mean, I will serve it up just like that. Ta-da! And you are good to go. Enjoy.